yesterday, waxed poetic about all things Packers. His receiver, Davante Adams, did the same. You know, first time we've heard from Davante since finding out extension talks had all but stalled with the Packers. But when you lead the league with 18 receiving touchdowns, you have a right to be the league's top-paid pass catcher. Just ask Davante himself.
Aaron is here beyond this year. Would you be willing to not be the highest paid wide receiver if it means staying with him, or is that all you'll settle for?
No, no, that's not going to happen. You know, I don't want to. It's not about being a baby, but what other profession do you take less than what you have earned? You know, that's not how it goes. And you know, the fans may see it different in certain ways, and I'm sure there's a lot of fans that see it the same way that myself, my family, my agent, and you know, most of the league sees it. But you know, I'm not a baby, so I'm not going to not show up, and I'm not complaining about it. At the end of the day, I'm not poor right now. You know, I'll be okay to get through and you know, go try to win a Super Bowl again, and that's my main focus now. I mean, the offseason was working out and trying to, you know, come to an agreement, but we weren't able to do that. So now it's kind of time to lock in. And yeah, hopefully I answered your question, but yeah, I've earned the right to be paid highest in the league.
It's the season of truth-telling in Green Bay. Since the Packers' bye week in 2019, Davante Adams has more receiving touchdowns than he has games played. In fact, over that span, he's got more games with multiple touchdowns than games with no touchdowns. How about that? Brandon, you're up, buddy. What was your reaction to what Davante had to say?
It's not just Davante. I know we're just honing in on him and his comments, but it's everything that's coming out of Green Bay right now with Davante and also Aaron Rodgers. Like right now, what's happening is a shift, okay? And as a player, you're trained not to have these real authentic press conferences, to not go up there and say what's on your mind. You are trained, and guys, please hear me here. You are literally trained to go up there and say, you know, money, we don't talk about that. We leave that up to the general manager or the head coach will talk about that. I'm here to talk about myself. You're trained to not even talk about other people. So for Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams to stand up there and be this real, it is awesome to see. Like, this is why I got in so much trouble in my career, because I was a guy that said, I'm going to just be real and authentic all the time. And I got in trouble because it was counterculture to the NFL's culture. So here's the deal. Davante Adams is right. He should be the highest paid. Why? Because he's up next. And that is the rules that they put in place. If you are balling like Davante Adams is balling and your contract is up, then yes, I need to reset the market. That has been the trend year after year after year. So I absolutely love this. And he also said something interesting, Coach. He said this, in America, be ready. Every time Coach and I talk about organizations and players and contract and money, you see the dynamic unfold right in front of your eyes. Coach is on one end of the spectrum, and organization and team, and I'm on the other end of the spectrum. Player. So I can't wait to get your perspective on this, though, Coach. But here's the deal. He said something interesting. When a player outperforms his contract, and they go to the table and they say, Coach Mangini, you know, listen, I know you run everything in Cleveland, Coach. You know, I think I deserve a new contract. Why does it take 6 to 9 months to get a deal done? Why are you trying to devalue me? Why you say, well, this or that guy or that guy? Why does it take so long? But if I underperform or if I get hurt and you come to me and you say, Brandon, you know what? We need some of that money back. Or, Brandon, we're going to cut you. Those conversations take 5 minutes. There isn't any back and forth. And that's what he highlighted, and I think it's interesting, and I think the fans need to see that, and that's the struggle. And that's what we need to lean into and figure out moving forward in the National Football League. But give it to me, Coach. Give it to me, Mr. Organization.
First of all, I need to start with Jenna. The effervescent comment, you said that with a little bit of sarcasm. That was hurtful. So let's address that off.
I've never been sarcastic.
Off the top.
I don't even know what that is.
And then, Brandon, I think this is going to shock you, but I'm fine with what he said, and here's why. Because just like we talked here's why. Just like we talked the other day about the guys who get up and say, you know, people are disrespecting me. I'm not, you know, there's 8,000 reasons besides what it is. It's about the money. It's about the contract. And at the end of the day,
you said
that's the truth. And in this situation, he's got a very compelling argument. He's going in the last year of his contract. He's the third most touchdowns ever in the history of the NFL in a single season. He's got a 77% catch rate. He's the primary guy, so everybody's trying to stop him, and he's doing that without some other threat to take coverage away from him. He has a strong argument. I thought the most interesting thing he said is, "I'm not a baby. I'm going to show up." I didn't know if that was a dig at Aaron Rodgers. Right. I mean, that to me was a little bit telling. Now, to get to your second point about why it takes so long in negotiation is players will typically come in and say, "Hey, I want a new contract. Oh, and by the way, I want it to be this astronomical number that totally resets the market."
That's right.
And is unrealistic versus every comp in the world. But I want it now, and why won't you give it to me right now? Because that's not the reality of how it works. When you buy a house, you look at comps. When you buy anything, a car, when you do any type of negotiation, there's comps, and you have your opinion of what your value is, and the organization has their opinion of the value, and you try to get to a point that works for everybody. You wish it was easy enough where you say, "Hey, I want the most money that's available," and you're like, "Okay, no problem. Hope you're happy. Great to have you." It just doesn't work. There's so many other people and other factors that come into play when you're negotiating contracts.
Well, coach. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, get them for me, please.
No, go ahead, Brandon.
Queen. All right. No. So he went back and said we started these conversations in January and February. So why is it taking so long? You just highlighted all the things like why his argument is compelling. So why is it taking him so long? It's August. The dude is saying I deserve to be the highest paid. That's not hard at all. The organization is sitting back and they're not getting it done. If this was Jake Kumerow, who Wilds love and adores, if this was him, then then you say, brother, please. And it may take some time. But this is Davante Adams. He should already have a deal done.
But nobody knows what he's asking for. Is he asking for $50 million a season? Is he asking for the entire contract to be guaranteed with no offsets? There's so many different components to a contract, and you know that, Brandon. It's not as easy as just saying, "I want to be the highest paid." Is he happy to be the highest paid by $1? Does he want to be the highest paid in every single year of the contract? There's so many asks and so many different ways to structure it. Does he want the money front-loaded or back-loaded? Like, all those things come into play, and it takes time.
It's getting very spicy in Green Bay, and I can't say that I don't love it. I love that Davante is coming out and saying this. I think actually that Davante and Aaron Rodgers are lockstep in this, because if you remember last week, Davante had said that the negotiations were off the table. Then all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers is back, and okay, now we can talk again. Well, obviously Davante deserves to be the highest paid, and Brandon, to your point earlier, he's up next. So he will be the highest paid if Green Bay wants to keep him, of course, which they should want to keep him, and they should pay him the most. DeAndre Hopkins is paid the most right now, and comparatively their contracts are very far apart. He's the next one to get paid, so he'll be the highest paid, and the next guy that has a great year and great couple of years and his contract comes up, he will be the next paid. That's how it works. So the market does reset, the salary cap goes up, and we freak out about how big the contract is, and then the next 2 years someone else signs a bigger contract and we get over it. That's how the game is played. What I think is interesting about the Davante Adams situation when it concerns Aaron Rodgers is we now pretty much all have a feeling that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be there next year. So if I'm Davante Adams, it's of the utmost importance if I stay in Green Bay that I am paid the most and get the contract that I want, because I don't necessarily know who's throwing the ball to me next year. And I'm with Jordan Love in practice. Now, we don't know what Jordan Love is, and he hasn't had really a full offseason, and he's still developing, and we're not going to see him this year. But what if he's not ready next year? Or what if, even if he is ready, he's not going to be Aaron Rodgers, and this is a dependent position. You can't just have anybody throwing you the ball. This could be, if he ends up with Jordan Love long term and Jordan Love doesn't pan out and he's in Green Bay, this could really affect his money moving forward. So it's imperative that he is paid the most in the league right now. And if he's going to stay in Green Bay, they need to compensate him as such.
Yep, I think you're right, Joy. I want to dig a little bit more into the Packers, Coach. every team was at camp. And all the news that we got from the other teams were, hey, look at this no-look pass from Patrick Mahomes. Hey, look at this CeeDee Lamb catch.